Mr. Flintstone isn't home yet. Is there any message?
Will you please give him my measurements?
Your what?
My measurements.
Your measurements? Well, okay. Don't worry, miss. I'll give it to him. In more ways than one.
The Flintstones may seem like a simple, prehistoric cartoon for kids. But beneath its Stone Age gags lies a surprisingly sophisticated world full of adult humor and serious themes. Have you ever wondered how a show about a caveman family tackling daily life could also touch on marriage struggles, infertility, and social satire? Hello, ladies. You wanted to show me something. Why? Yes, Mr. Rubble. We like your honest opinion. What do you think of our chances? Your chances for a broken arm are great. Decades after it first aired, The Flintstones continues to entertain generations. Yet, when you watch it through adult eyes, you'll notice a trove of hidden jokes and cultural nods that fly right over kids' heads. From subtle innuendos to the stark realities of family life, this beloved series offers much more than meets the eye. Hidden adult themes. From the moment you start watching The Flintstones as an adult, it becomes clear that the show is layered with surprisingly mature themes, cleverly disguised beneath prehistoric silliness. While it's easy to see it as just a fun family cartoon, the episodes often touch on complicated issues like marriage conflicts, job dissatisfaction, and even deeper emotional struggles. These mature storylines are not merely background noise. They form an essential part of the narrative fabric, giving the show a richness that young viewers simply miss. This complexity is what has allowed the Flintstones to remain relevant and relatable across decades. A striking example lies in how the show portrays the pressures of everyday adult life through the eyes of characters like Fred Flintstone, who juggles work frustrations with his home life. His relationship with Wilma mirrors real-world tensions between spouses, complete with arguments and moments of physical comedy that hint at deeper marital strain. While the humor is lighthearted, the underlying themes about loyalty, patience, and conflict resolution speak more to an adult audience who understands these struggles intimately. This nuanced depiction adds a layer of authenticity rarely expected in cartoons from the early 1960s. Critically, The Flintstones doesn't shy away from darker, sometimes uncomfortable topics either. Beneath the laughs lie hints of economic hardship, societal expectations, and personal insecurities, all packaged within Stone Age parables. Episodes delve into issues such as unemployment, feeling undervalued, and the quest for purpose, which resonates strongly with older viewers. This blend of humor and reality creates a unique viewing experience that challenges the assumption that cartoons are exclusively for children. Moreover, the show often presents social commentary cloaked in prehistoric satire. Whether it's poking fun at modern consumerism or commenting on gender roles, The Flintstones holds a mirror to mid-century America, albeit through a Stone Age lens. This facet of the show reveals an intentional depth as the writers use humor to engage adults while entertaining kids. As a result, many jokes and scenarios play on contemporary societal tensions and cultural norms that only adults would grasp. Interestingly, the show's willingness to confront such themes highlights a rare sophistication for its time. In the 1960s, television was still largely segregated into distinct children's and adult programming. Yet the Flintstones blurred those lines. It carved a place for itself as a show that could be enjoyed on multiple levels, which explains its enduring popularity. This duality, serving children's humor alongside adult realities, was a bold move that set a precedent for future animated sitcoms. As the episodes unfold, viewers unknowingly witness reflections of their own lives, making the Flintstones feel more like a societal chronicle than a simple cartoon. The characters' imperfections and struggles create a strong emotional connection that transcends generations. Adults recognize these universal experiences, and this recognition adds a bittersweet weight to the comedic antics on screen. It's a sophisticated approach that adds emotional resonance without sacrificing entertainment value. This subtle weaving of adult themes also challenges the viewer to reconsider childhood memories of the series. What once seemed like innocent laughter becomes a layered narrative about real human emotions and relationships. The fact that so many adults come back to the show and rediscover these issues is a testament to the writer's cleverness and the show's cultural significance. It invites us to ask just how much complexity can be hidden in plain sight on a Saturday morning cartoon. But how did the Flintstones come to blend such mature content into what many assumed would be just a simple children's show? The answer lies in its origins and inspirations. The Honeymooners' influence. The Flintstones owes much of its character and tone to its clear inspiration from the Honeymooners, a beloved 1950s American sitcom featuring Ralph Cradon and his wife Alice. This connection goes beyond surface similarities. The dynamics of the Flintstone family mirror the Honeymooners' domestic setup, including the humorous clashes and tender moments between spouses. Ralph's boisterous, underemployed persona found a new prehistoric form in Fred Flintstone, whose larger-than-life character is rooted deeply in this model. The show borrowed heavily from the Honeymooners' formula of blending broad comedy with adult problems such as financial woes and relationship frustrations. Like Ralph, Fred often finds himself frustrated with work and life, stuck in repetitive cycles of plans and mishaps. Meanwhile, Wilma mirrors Alice's long-suffering but sharp-witted demeanor, keeping her husband grounded amid his blustering escapades. These parallels extend to the friendship dynamics, as well, with Barney Rubble and Ed Norton representing an inseparable male companionship that balances and contrasts the leads. What is most interesting aspect of this influence is that the mid-century urban sitcom, The Flintstones, is reimagined as a prehistoric family tale. The series replaces buses and city flats with dinosaurs and rock houses. But the people's feelings and conflicts are unchanged. Such a smart relocation of story and setting enabled the series not only to capture adults who were the original viewers, but also to provide a new and inventive setting for the kids. The humor was akin to that in the original series, and thus reached out to a wide spectrum of people. Also, the Honeymooners sometimes had small parts in the physical comedy of the couple's humorous threats to each other. Ralph's remarkable, "One of these days, Alice," becoming the most memorable case. Surprisingly, the Flintstones had parallel situations with Fred, frequently jesting that he would do such and such to Wilma, and Wilma responding by mocking him in a comical way. The whole thing was a very playful way to show a couple fighting that also had an element of realism that characterized adult viewers and was based on social standards of the time. The characters of Barney Rubble and Ed Norton are the embodiment of this resemblance. For the two caveman neighbors sound almost exactly like their 1950s counterparts. Their friendship, filled with jokes and loyalty, showcases a classic friendship pattern in a different environment. This link cuts across ages and cultures, thus making the characters more than just their prehistoric masks. It rose above the setting's novelty and reached into the familiar social dynamics. The plot outline of the Flintstones even adopted the basic idea of the Honeymooners to depict working-class families living daily lives and facing everyday problems in an episodic and self-contained manner. Repeating certain storylines and character traits guaranteed a soothing and comforting formula that also allowed for occasional criticism of society. This style of narration also mirrored the television standards of the time and made the show easily accessible and thus popular. The influence reached up to the show's tone, as it were, mixing lighthearted comedy with genuine emotions and tensions. The same goes for the Honeymooners, where the Flintstones showed characters to be imperfect but lovable at the same time, and their flaws plus failures to be the sources of both humor and sympathy. Such complexity was not common in cartoons back then and contributed to the adult attraction of the show. It allowed the series to be a subtle yet true representation of the lives of its viewers. Realizing this influence helps to understand why the Flintstones was going to be a mere children's show. It was a display of the current American family living under a rock. The tribute to the Honeymooners gave it an authority and a depth that invited the viewers of different generations to participate in its stories through various levels of interpretation. This linkage also prepared the ground for the show's other peculiar and sometimes unsettling characteristics. Yet beyond character parallels and narrative echoes, The Flintstones is also notable for its imaginative world-building, especially the rampant use of animals as appliances, a peculiar but fascinating aspect that adults often view through a more critical lens. Animals as household helpers. One of the most inventive features of the Flintstones is how animals and prehistoric creatures are cleverly repurposed as everyday household appliances and tools. From an elephant acting as a garden hose to a rabbit's ears serving as a television antenna, this anthropomorphic twist combines humor with creativity. Children delight in the novelty of these living machines, but adults often find a more nuanced issue lurking beneath the laughs. The use of animals as devices creates a setting that mimics modern conveniences, but in a Stone Age style, reinforcing the show's core premise of portraying a modern Stone Age family. It satirizes contemporary life by substituting typical household gadgets with living creatures. Cleverly integrating the prehistoric theme, this playful approach provides endless comedic opportunities while grounding the show's fantasy world in relatable everyday routines. Nonetheless, the adults who watch the show tend to be more than a little surprised at the implied treatment of the animals. The physical strain or exploitation of the animals is subtly depicted in many scenes, e.g. the bird whose tail is pulled to make an alarm. The show never outright condemns these actions as cruel, but the visual implications are quite strong. This aspect raises moral dilemmas concerning the rights of animals and labor, which are in stark contrast to the overall lightheartedness of the show. The animals at times come out of their roles and speak about their situation, therefore giving a meta layer to the story that encourages the audience to think about the truths that are hidden behind the humor. The animals' suffering is acknowledged in ways that the adults can interpret as social commentary on working conditions and exploitation. This self-awareness characterizes the Flintstones as different from the usual cartoons, bestowing it a subversive quality that appeals to the more sophisticated audience. This interplay is a reflection of the human labor practices of the 1950s. Cleverly disguised in Stone Age humor, the animals were primarily involved in the production process, which raised the issue of the fair treatment of the animals and mechanical substitution, thus mirroring society's fears of employees being replaced by machines or mistreated by their employers. These comparisons not only broaden the show's appeal, but also add to its complexity. The question of the moral stance of using living beings as machines also pushes the viewers to critically analyze the ethics of the entire Flintstones of society. Is the world really a paradise, or does it hide darker realities of exploitation and disconnect? Adults with their wider perspectives often find themselves pondering over these tensions, whereas children just take the humor at the surface level. Depiction of animal helpers is in a way connected with the themes of environment and conservation, though not intentionally. It very gently raises the question of the people's relation to nature, since in a way these animals are the ones being helped according to their will, or not at all, and the question of how far one can go to control nature. This subtlety in the negative aspect turns out to be a benefit, as it transforms the fastest and most uncomfortable understanding of the show into an ecological discourse, which is not often explored even in cartoons of that period. On the other hand, due to the unsettling implications, the use of animals as household helpers is very clever and lively, entertaining to the last. It depicts the great creativity of the show in combining humor and social commentary. This very blend keeps the Flintstones world animated and musing for the adult audience that is watching the series again. The curious mix of humor and ethical questions posed by these animal helpers is just one example of the hidden complexities within the Flintstones. But the show's courage to address sensitive social issues, including one particularly emotional topic, leads us toward another remarkable area many adults notice: the portrayal of infertility and adoption. Addressing infertility.